What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel. And look, whether you're an Arteta in, somebody who trusts the process, believes they can see progress, likes what he's done with the team to this point, likes where he's brought us, and thinks he's deserved the chance to see what he can do from here in delivering silverware, but not forever. There'll be a time limit on it at some point. Or you're somebody who for ages, before anyone else has seen that Arteta was wrong for Arsenal, and you've gotten increasingly angry and frothy at the mouth and you just want people to sack him so that we can finally win things. Whichever of those two groups you're in, Saturday's defeat to Bournemouth and the horror show performance that accompanied it has opened up this conversation about Arteta. I describe myself as somebody who believes in Arteta, is happy with what he's achieved so far and where he's put us in the conversation, but that doesn't make him immune from criticism. And I think for me, and possibly you're like me, if you believe in Arteta, when things like this happen on Saturday, the finger of blame does point to him. All the players seemed to have turned up ill-prepared. The formation didn't work. The changes that when we went down to 10 men, all of these things have raised questions that have been asked of Arteta before. And I want to see if we've got grounds to be concerned that they're long-term problems, and whether that's going to mean that we never win a Premier League, because nobody is going to have more impact on our chance of winning the Premier League than Arteta. He's the single person who's going to have the biggest impact. So I thought it'd be a good idea to look at some of the categories of decisions that we can judge him on. And the first one of those is tactical flexibility. So Arteta's tactical shifts are the hallmark of his time at Arsenal. He's been often praised for his ability to adapt tactical formations and strategies for the opponent. But he has at times tinkered a little bit too much and persisted with things that didn't seem to be working, or tried something new seemingly for the sake of it. Against Bournemouth, obviously injury plays a massive part in that, because you can't play Martinelli, Odegaard and Saka. You would expect most teams to struggle a little bit. But I think the formation we chose in playing Mourinho alongside Partey and Declan Rice didn't work from the get-go. I think he might have overthought that a little bit. But you can't get away from the fact the real question about tactical flexibility shows itself in our attitude to going down to 10 men. For the third time this season we go down to 10 men. Away to Manchester City, holding on to a 2-1 lead, you expect us to defend, and we defended resolutely, bravely. Made sense. I didn't have any problem with that at all. Going down to 10-man Brighton, I think we were a little bit over defensive, but against Bournemouth, we definitely were. Our plan B cannot always be to defend like, we're holding on to a 1-0 lead at City. That shows for me a little lack of tactical variation, which I think is worth discussing. Overall, I will accept that he gets it right more often than he gets it wrong. But can you get it wrong like this with Pep in the race? Is he going to get one wrong like this? Is that what we're up against? Is this the big area, the tactical flexibility? Mistakes in tactical flexibility could on their own be enough. But then there's also squad rotation. We don't seem to ever rotate squads properly. Now, this season, there was a hope that maybe with some of the players who have been brought in, we definitely have enough players at the back to rotate. But we are lacking creative midfielders. So we feel the loss of Odegaard more than we perhaps should do. And was it inevitable that Odegaard was going to get injured? Or should we be worried that Saka picks up a longer-term injury, given the amount of minutes that they're forced to play? Declan Rice, William Saliba, players that we can't really replace. So we need to see more squad rotation. I felt like he brought Sterling in and he's wanted to play him. But I think he took him off, and that was a mistake. And that takes us to in-game management, which is, I think when you lose, you remember that you disagreed with what the manager did. But when you win, you forget you disagreed. And I think there's an element of that. But I would say most of us get frustrated with Mikel Arteta in terms of how quickly he brings on substitutions. On Saturday, it was more the going defensive, bringing on Kivior, taking off Sterling, who looked like our best threat. And the problem of us playing that bunker siege mentality, that no plan B, just down to 10 men, defend like your lives depended on it, that leads us to never having an out ball, never having any attack. and that can't be a good thing. It just can't be. So the in-game management on Saturday raises some questions. What do you think? Do you think that he gets the substitutions, broadly speaking, right? Do you think he waits too long? Do you think that he gets them terribly wrong? There's plenty to scratch your head about in Arteta's in-game management. But it's key. It's going to be key. The right decision wins a game. The wrong decision costs a game. We're talking about margins of one game per season that you can afford to lose. And we've just lost one game that we couldn't really afford to lose. You can't lose away to Bournemouth. So the pressure is on. And when people say it's too early in the season, looking back on it, had we not drawn to Fulham, we would have won the title. So you can look at games like Bournemouth and think, is this going to make the massive difference in the season? And it might well do. That's a reality. Does Arteta trust in some players too much? I think you could call this a Willian factor, because just didn't seem to want to drop him. And that's been true of several players. There's been players who've kept their place. At the moment, I might say I think Thomas Partey's in that category. Jorginho seems to have drifted off. He's always been solid when we've called on him, but Thomas Partey's definitely ever present now. Other players that fall into that category you can absolutely understand and forgive: Saka, Saliba, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, David Raya, Gabriel. These are players that are cemented into the team whenever they play. And that's why it's interesting to see how quickly Calafiori's and Marino's can come in and take a place. And that brings me to the final point, which is mental resilience. I don't know about you, but I think we might have got away with all the tactics, or we might have not needed to think so tactically about Bournemouth, really, as I think did. We should have had enough about us to go and win up there, and the fact that we didn't is a knock. But the thing that really irks me about it is the reason it feels like such a hammer blow to lose to Bournemouth is because it felt so much like the games against West Ham, Fulham, Aston Villa. We've had this great season, last two seasons, and it's fallen apart in individual games, not in a steady slide downwards, but in sudden hitting the skids, you know? And I don't want to feel like Bournemouth was part of that, but last season, we did lose to West Ham. We thought it was a hammer blow, and we didn't come back in time, and we lost to Fulham as well. And that dented our title chances more than anything. And want to feel like those changes have been made. But the reason I'm talking about it is because in those games, what went out, like Bayern Munich away, we went out and we just didn't turn up. We were disjointed. There was a lack of belief. Confidence is everything. Pep Guardiola's Man City side have it. They've earned it. They deserve it. You can't ask for more confidence than winning the Premier League 4 times in a row would give you. So they're not going to lose their confidence. They could have lost to Wolves and they would have bounced back. Do we have that yet? Has Arteta instilled in this team the mental resilience to win a title? They're the tactical challenges that really great managers overcome. Is he a really great manager? Has he proven that he can't learn from past seasons? I want to hear from you, of course. Overall, Arteta's strategic choices are going to come under heavy scrutiny because Arsenal, we're all really desperate. We've been brought really close, and we want to get there now. All right. So I think it's going to be very tough on Arteta at the end of the season if we flatter to deceive, or if we do worse or fall backwards, because if a large chunk of the support for Arteta, including me, is predicated on progress and him having taken us further, we can be lenient to a certain degree. But do you think Arteta has learnt the lessons of the past and is going to deliver us a title? I want to hear from you. Until I see you again, be lucky and lots of love.
Subscribe.
And now that we're filming,
Oh,
go for it.
people, now subscribe.